Hello and welcome to Celebrity Reporter. In this video we will discover the tumultuous relationship of Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth II and the royals. The relationship between Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth II was one of the most closely watched and tumultuous in royal history. When Diana first entered the royal family as Prince Charles' fiancée, the Queen welcomed her warmly. However, as Diana's marriage to the heir to the throne began to unravel, so too did her relationship with the Queen. While many had hoped that Diana's arrival would usher in a new era of vitality for the House of Windsor, her struggles within the royal family ultimately led to a strained and contentious relationship with both her husband and the Queen. In this video, we will explore the complex and fascinating dynamics that characterize the relationship between Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth II. Princess Diana's close relationship with the royal family began during her childhood. Her father was an equerry to the Queen, and both of her grandmothers had served as ladies-in-waiting to the Queen Mother, Elizabeth II's mother. Diana's maternal grandmother, Baroness Fermoy, was a trusted confidant of the Queen Mother for decades. Diana spent her formative years living at Park House on the royal family's Sandringham estate in Norfolk. There, she often played with Elizabeth's younger sons, Andrew and Edward, who were much closer in age than her future husband, Prince Charles, who was over 12 years her senior. Despite her privileged upbringing, Diana's childhood was not without difficulties. Her parents' divorce when she was just 7 years old was a traumatic experience that left a lasting impact on her. The custody battle that ensued after her parents' divorce was particularly challenging for Diana. Baroness Fermoy's decision to support her former son-in-law, and not her own daughter, led to Diana and her siblings being raised by their father and his second wife, Reine. Diana's relationship with Reine was fraught with emotional difficulties and led to further emotional damage. While the Queen initially welcomed her with open arms, the road to her marriage to Prince Charles was fraught with challenges and obstacles. Charles and Diana's first meeting took place when she was just 16 years old. Her older sister, Sarah, had briefly dated Charles, and the couple reportedly connected at a grouse hunt. Despite their age difference, the 29-year-old prince made a lasting impression on the young Diana, although he later described her as a jolly young girl. As Charles approached his 30s, he was under increasing pressure to find a suitable bride. His reputation as a playboy made the search for a future consort all the more challenging. Diana seemed to tick all the necessary boxes for the role. She was beautiful, well-bred, and had a prior relationship with the family that nearly convinced everyone she would easily slide into a royal role. One thing that set Diana apart from other women in Charles' life was her age and virginity. These qualities made her a more suitable match in the eyes of the royal family, particularly given Charles' past relationships with women like Camilla Parker Bowles. Although Charles had been involved with Camilla for nearly a decade, opposition from his family had led to their breakup and Camilla's subsequent marriage. Charles' father, Philip, and the Queen Mother, who was the family member Charles was closest to, began to plot the match between their friends. Despite his fears about making a marital mistake, Charles moved forward with a hasty courtship. The couple saw each other in person just 13 times before he proposed. The highly anticipated royal wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer in 1981 captivated the world, with an estimated television audience of 750 million tuning in to watch the spectacle. However, the couple's fairy-tale romance soon hit a snag, with Diana struggling to find common ground with her new husband and his family. The union between Diana, the Queen, and the royal family rapidly deteriorated. Charles and his kin were content with conventional country life and customary outdoor activities such as polo and hunting. Conversely, Diana, who was just out of her teens, relished city living, modern music, and dancing. Additionally, Diana exhibited the first signs of emotional volatility that would plague their marriage. She was under an ever-increasing public spotlight, and her dissatisfaction and tension were evident in her escalating episodes of bulimia and self-harm. It is likely that Diana's troubled upbringing had left deep emotional scars. Palace insiders would later reveal that she had turned to the Queen for counsel and support, viewing her as a surrogate mother rather than just a mother-in-law. The Queen was indeed sympathetic to Diana, at least initially. She had experienced her own rough patches in her marriage and could undoubtedly empathize with Diana's frustrations. However, while Diana appeared unable to cope with her new life as a royal, Elizabeth was entirely unprepared to handle Diana's almost overwhelming outpouring of emotions or to be the maternal figure that Diana seemed to desperately require. Stoicism, even with her family members, was the norm, and she had never been emotionally close to her own children or their partners. Duty and service always took priority for the Queen. Therefore, Diana would have to make do and get on with her life. The collapse of Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage was a very public and painful affair. Despite some initial happiness, the couple's differences began to emerge soon after the birth of their second son, Harry, in 1984. Diana's growing public image as a glamorous and compassionate princess clashed with Charles' more traditional and reserved approach. Diana's work with marginalized groups, including AIDS patients, was met with some resistance from the royal family and courtiers who felt she was overstepping her role. As the marriage began to unravel, both Charles and Diana turned to infidelity. The Queen and Prince Philip attempted to intervene, but their efforts were ultimately unsuccessful in reconciling the couple. When a biography of Diana was released in 1992, it only further damaged the relationship between the royal couple and the rest of the family. The Queen and Prince Philip attempted to arrange a meeting to try to salvage the marriage, but it was already too late. Charles and Diana were living separate lives, and their mutual affairs had been exposed in the media. The Queen reluctantly agreed to a formal separation, which was announced in late 1992. After Diana's divorce from Prince Charles, the Queen made an attempt to extend an act of kindness towards her. Unfortunately, this act was followed by a series of bad news. Charles admitted his infidelity in a televised interview, and Diana gave an interview with Martin Bashir where she accused the royal family of being uncaring and cold towards her during her marriage. Despite her affection for the Queen, Diana expressed reluctance to see Charles as the heir to the throne. The Queen promptly wrote to both Charles and Diana, urging them to retain Diana's status as Her Royal Highness. However, Charles refused to comply with the request. Just a year after their divorce, Diana was killed in a car accident, which led to international outpourings of grief. The Queen was heavily criticized for her response, which many saw as uncaring. Rumors circulated that the Queen had initially suggested a private funeral for Diana before relenting to a public funeral at Westminster Abbey. On the eve of the funeral, the Queen delivered a live speech in which she praised her former daughter-in-law. She also allowed the flag to fly at half-mast over Buckingham Palace on the day of the funeral and bowed her head as Diana's coffin passed by during the funeral procession. 6 days after Diana's death, the Queen wrote a response to a condolence letter from a former aide, expressing her sadness over Diana's passing. Her private pain was revealed, showing that she struggled to understand her former daughter-in-law during her life. The aftermath of Diana's death was a difficult time for the Queen, and her actions were heavily scrutinized. Despite the criticism, it's clear that she made an effort to honor Diana's memory and express her grief in her own way. We are super excited about you watching our video and look forward to your continued support. It means the world to us. See you in the next video.